Good day, people. This is Sergio again, or another name, Watchman on the Walls of Zion. Right, so I decided to do this message because time is wrapping up so quickly that God is calling Elijahs, He's calling John the Baptist, He's calling men and women who will stand up for truth though the heavens fall. Right, so I want to read a chapter for you, and I pray that you take heed. I pray that you see the urgency of these things, all these things that are around us, all these events that are taking place, and we will see that everything is gonna, the curtains is gonna come down on us very soon, right? Which is the Sunday law and the end of everything. So let me read, right? I'm reading from 2nd Spirit of Prophecy, or Spirit of Prophecy Volume 2, Chapter 3. This is the life and mission of John the Baptist, right? So it says, about the time of the birth of John, the Jews were in a deplorable condition, and in order to keep down insurrection, they were allowed to have a separate government in name, while the Romans virtually ruled them. The Jews saw that their power and liberty were restricted, and that in reality they were under the Roman yoke. Right? The Romans claimed the right to appoint men, right? Appoint men to the priesthood and to remove them from office at will. Thus was their door opened for the priesthood to become corrupt. The priests, not being divinely appointed, abused their office and were unfaithful in their ministrations. Men of corrupt morals with money and influence obtained the favor of those in power and succeeded in attaining to the priesthood. The whole country felt their oppression, and revolt and dissension were the result of this state of things. But the first part that I'd like to highlight today is the Jews saw that their power and liberty were restricted, and that in reality they were under the Roman yoke. Brethren, if you don't have eyes to see that Rome is in control of everything right now, I'm talking about earthly powers here. We know God is in control of everything, but I'm talking about the powers that be on this earth. They are in control of all churches. I ain't even going to explain that further, because if you have eyes to see, if the scales are off of our eyes, we're going to see that we are going through the same thing like the Jews. You understand? The Roman Catholic Church is in control. I wouldn't go in depth into our church and the foolishness and the corruption. I don't have time for that right now. But I'm going to show you that we are repeating these things to the letter. Let me go on. It says, the pious Jews were looking, believing, and earnestly praying for the coming of the Messiah. God could not manifest His glory and power to His people through a corrupt priesthood. The set time to favor His people had come. The fate of the Jews had become clouded in consequence of their departure from God. Right? So we see here the Jews' state of things, right, had become, the fate of the Jews had become clouded in consequence of their departure from God. So when you depart from God, there is no joy, there is no peace, there is no happiness, there is nothing in this world without God. So let us not fool ourselves that we could do all these things. We could get the worldly education, we could do this and party and do this and think we are right with God, or think we have a happy life. But this life without God is foolishness. The wisdom of this world is foolishness unto God. The degree and the education without God is foolishness. Right? As I said, the wisdom of this world is foolishness unto God. But if you have the knowledge and the wisdom or the education, and you have a relationship with God, and you're right with God, and your name is written in the book of life by the grace of God, then that's wise. Alright? So let's go on. Many of the leaders of the people brought in their own traditions and enforced them upon the Jews as the commandments of God. The pious Jews believed and trusted in God, that He would not leave His people in this condition, to be a reproach to the heathen. He had in time past raised them up a deliverer, when in their distress they had called upon Him. From the predictions of the prophets, they thought the time appointed of God had arrived, when Messiah would come. And when He should come, they would have a clear revelation of the divine will, and that their doctrines would be freed from the traditions and needless ceremonies which had confused their faith. The pious aged Jews waited day and night for the coming of Messiah, praying that they might see the Savior before they died. They longed to see the cloud of ignorance and bigotry dispelled from the minds of the people. Zacharias and Elizabeth, right? You could get that in the Gospels. This is John's parents, were both righteous people before God, walking in all the commandments and ordinances of the law. Blameless, they were far advanced in years. Zacharias ministered in the holy office of the priesthood. And it came to pass that while he executed the priest's office before God in the order of his course, according to the custom of the priest's office, his lot was to burn incense when he went into the temple of the Lord. And the whole multitude of the people were praying without at the time of incense. And there appeared unto him an angel of the Lord standing on the right side of the altar of incense. Right? And when Zacharias saw the angel of God, he was surprised and troubled. This conscientious, God-fearing soul questioned whether he had himself offended God. Right? So this is how God's people are supposed to be in these days. They're supposed to be humble. You know, they're supposed to be always be examining, ourselves. We ought to examine ourselves, ensure that we are right with God every day. Right? No man is safe without God enough. No man is safe without God. But he was humble enough. Right?